All right, here we are, another Tuesday upon us. I'm in Arizona. That's where I probably spend the majority of my time out here. I do travel a hell of a lot, go back and forth to Missouri, go back and forth to the corporate office in Nevada, and of course, hit different markets all the time to connect up with folks out there. Um, Yesterday, we got some awesomeness because it's been hot as hell out here. May surprisingly was great weather. Then you get June, ridiculously hot. Now we're in July, hot as hell. And then we had the dust storms come in. You can look it up. Just type in Phoenix Valley dust storm. You see that big wall of dust coming in, and it comes on fast. 1 minute it's just hot. The next minute the wind is just blowing like crazy. You got dust everywhere, and you're just gritty from top to bottom if you're walking around out there. And then the rains hit, tore the place up. It was awesome, awesome. But we're supposed to be getting rain for the entire week, which we'll see. We'll see how that works out. I'm hoping that's the case, but you never freaking know. What the weather says is not always what we end up getting, especially out here. Now, this is a pretty easy place to predict as far as weather. You're just going to say freaking hot. And they're going to be right 99.9% of the time. But right now, we'll see how this weather thing works out. I'm hoping we do get that kind of rain. I'm hoping we get to see that kind of moisture coming into the ground. I got some stuff I got to do here that would need to have the ground softened up just a little bit. Today, interesting stuff happening in the bonds. Of course, we've been getting our ass kicked these last little bit when the bombs started dropping again over in Iran. Those pressures that come from energy inflation. But now we got something else happening. People are going to ask, did rates get better today? And in reality, the market moved. We haven't seen the rates move as a result. It's still a wrong question, though. It's what happened that got Wall Street to change the price of money? What made traders decide, oh, we're going to put more money back over here in the mortgage-backed securities, which I'll show you, versus somewhere else? What ended up happening? The CPI, Consumer Price Index, came out, and it didn't just come in lower expected, it came in significantly lower. Core CPI was expected to increase by 0.2%. Instead, it came in at zero, flat, right? Still, I mean, inflation is going up, but not to the extent that they thought it would. Now, when we're talking about unrounded terms, you go into the headline CPI, which is even more surprising. Economists expected to go down 0.1%, and it went down 0.4. Again, monster amount. Now, what they call the super core inflation, which strips out housing and is closely watched by the Federal Reserve, posted its first negative reading for more than a year. First time. Now, Wall Street looked at that and said, okay, we're going to change how we think about money here for the next little bit. We think that people are going to want to go into long-term instruments. So a lot of money rushing right back into the MBSs. Now, I'll show you this real quick here so you can see, because we've been seeing a lot of negative movement in the MBS. I got to squint here so I can see my screen. It's a little ways away from me here. Okay. So what we've had is we talked about this hammer here when they started the bombing in Iran again, and then bam, huge negativity. All it took, because we opened here today in a similar spot, not far off of where we closed out yesterday, but we opened right here. I'm going to zoom in on this more so you can see it. We opened here and rocketed up, and we tried to get past this ceiling. Remember how I talked about this particular thing being a ceiling, or it was a floor before, now it's a ceiling? We hit that ceiling, we try to get past it, but now it's sitting below it, because still, just because the CPI comes out and reads that way doesn't mean there isn't something else that's going to come out and be negative and push it back down. So we have recovered a lot of what we lost over the last couple trading sessions because of this CPI news, but it doesn't mean that inflation is completely under control. The bond market is going to look and say, okay, what's going to influence it now? Right now, they've got back to what I think, just from looking at this, what they believe the current value of the security is in current market conditions. But what's going to happen with the next drop, right? Are we going to have more bombings? Is there going to be something else that comes out about energy inflation? Let's just be honest about energy inflation. We're not getting our energy from over there. Our oil is coming elsewhere. We have oil reserve. We have the ability to drill and get oil here in the U.S. Aaron Chapman thought, if you can raise the prices for something, even though you don't need to, why not? And that's what I think is really kind of happening there. That's just my opinion. And sometimes my opinion is wrong. Just like my opinion of everything that's happening here. Now, I might have technical data that shows here that this line right here, what I've highlighted, 100.55, par 55, is where I believe the value of the security is without, or at least a peak value without the federal government or the Federal Reserve, they're not even government, talking about quantitative easing or anybody else in the government talk about quantitative easing. You stay out of that conversation. Our security and mortgage-backed security is going to stay down in here. You get into that conversation, it's going to go up above this, as we've seen here. That conversation took place here, and then it rocketed up above it when they started actually producing some sort of form of plan, but that plan never came about, and it never really took off. Then you had right here, which was where they started. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on that a little bit more. This is when they started the conflict with Iran, and then all of that started happening as a result. So inflation, of course, is still the big driver of what happens in these MBSs. I can take this thing out. I'll deal with that later. So when we're looking at all this without quantitative easing, without in massive sums of money going in here, this is the value of the security. Anybody who's waiting for interest rates to go back below into the low sixes for an investor loan, guys, it's not going to happen. I just don't see it happening unless they're going to throw a bunch of money in there. If we're going to throw a bunch of money in there to collapse the US dollar, which we know that's the intent, we know that that's the thought process. Let's go to digital currency. Let's go to one world currency, all these kind of things. Now, we can get into all kinds of conspiracy theories about all this kind of crap, but we know that there's a lot of those theories were not theories. It's reality. All you got to do is have a lot of bullshitting going on and a lot of government crap going on to try and hide a lot of the stuff that's happening. I hadn't talked about that. If you haven't got it, get it. I'm staring at 85 books right there, signed, ready to rock and roll, all stacked up, signed by Robert, by Dolph, by Eric, and myself, stamped, numbered, only for people to get to put the 5-star review on Amazon. I've already got 31 of you ready to rock and roll. Actually, I think it's about 28 because there's a couple of them I can't figure out who you are. So if you've got a 5-star in there, and you've got some weird code word and I haven't talked to you, you haven't heard from me, and your username doesn't match your name, you want to reach out to me. Let's figure out who you are. I want to make sure you get that. I want to connect with you and make sure you get what I've promised, because I want to deliver on everything that I promise. I don't like to promise things to people and not deliver it. To me, that's the basis of where our social order should be. You say you're going to do something, you should do it. The problem is we have today is a lot of people market services that they just don't freaking do well whatsoever, and they just want to take your money and walk. And I have a lot of that going on, even in my world. I try and be discerning, but I also take a lot of people at their word. And why do I take people at their word? Because I say something, and I do my damnedest to do it, and sometimes to my own detriment. If you're not going to do it, don't freaking say it. And do not collect money on that. That's freaking thievery. And right now, I got a lot of some bitches right now that didn't do their part. And I'm sure a lot of you people are experiencing that. You've experienced that in your career. Get some principles lined out of how you're going to discern whether or not you believe this is going to be worth it, and decide whether or not you really want it. The problem, we live in an environment where people prey upon your emotion. They put you in a position of emotional reaction at that moment to let you feel and see what that outcome is going to be, and then they never deliver on it. They expect they want you to pay them thousands of dollars to get something that's up to you to do. Get that. That will get you going. And it's only going to cost you 28 bucks, not 10,000, not something like that. These guys want to get you in a big room just to get you to pay tens of thousands of dollars to so-called inspire you. How about just systems and processes that get you somewhere, actually take you down the path? Go to the QJO Entity Vault. QJO Entity Vault. We'll talk about it a little bit more here in the next week or so when I finish out a few things. There's some cost to it. But guys, it's going to do for you what others cannot. Others will offer you something that's a lot more complicated, a lot more of a pain in the ass, with a lot more expense, with a lot less outcome. So a lot of things I'm working on here for you, the real estate investor. I want to make sure you're successful. I want to make sure you achieve what you want to achieve, but more importantly, how do you pass on to the next generation and not get wasted? That's our goal. And that's what I'm aiming for. And that's what I want to make happen. And that's what the pressure of the next book that's coming out. Don't know how long it's going to take. I'm still writing it, but appreciate you guys. I'm rambling. That's where we're at in the market today. All we do is just kind of recover what we lost yesterday. So we're still kind of a baseline from the end of last week. So we'll see how this thing plays out, what other market news comes out to influence these bond traders to either go in or go out. So talk to you guys on Friday.